Hey everyone, I'm going to take a look at the new Summer Transfers Volume 1 pack on eFootball. I've already done a video reviewing all the new nominating contract packs and the new match pass players, so that video is live on the channel if you want to check it out. In this pack, as always, I'll put timestamps in the description for each player, so if there's a particular player you want to hear about, just click on the description, there'll be a link to take you straight to them. So we've got 11 players in the pack, a couple of 4 stars, the rest 5 stars. We'll start with Asano, who has just joined Mallorca in Spain. So, got a face scan, of course, because he's Japanese. We've got a prolific winger. He can play as a wing, wide forward, left and right. He can play as a right midfielder, or he can play through the middle as an SS or a centre forward. Compared to previous versions of him, there was one version in a national team pack, Japan pack that came out. I think it was earlier this year. It went to 92. This guy only goes to 90, so it's not the best version we've had, but still a decent version. Let's jump onto eFootball. We'll see how good we can get him. Where are we? There. So, as you see, maxed out. He's rapid, but he's not really got a great deal of anything else. We'll hit that game plan boost. So we do get up to 90 for dribbling. He's got some quality, this guy. I think he's one of these ones who, when you look at him out wide, he's got the pace, he's got dribbling, but how much else does he have? You know, the finishing's not too bad, I guess, at 78, but that tight possession, being below 80, that's a bit dodgy to me. Would I tweak the way he's been trained? Probably. I'd like to get that tight possession up. I'd like to get the finishing up. Can we spare the points from elsewhere? I'm not really sure we can, to be honest. We can nick one off dexterity. It gives us a couple of points. We're still at the 90 mark acceleration. Still at 80 attacking awareness, but dribbling, we'd need 4 points for dribbling. That's the problem. Should we stick it on there? Odd, maybe just do that. So as a wide forward, I'd probably do that. So we've got the pace, the dribbling, the tight possession. You will notice that. That's a bit disappointing, and he's really not great with his passing, so be very careful with his passing, but at least we've got that finishing up to the 80 mark. Balance is decent enough. The attacking race is good at 80. We look down his skills, he's lacking. Long range shooting, dipping shot, super sub, that's it. So you got a super sub with pace who can dribble, who can shoot, so he could be a tricky one. Bring him off the bench out wide, use his pace and get some shots away. He could cause problems. I think in terms of his all-round game, I just think he's a little bit lacking. I'd like his passes to be a bit better, and that type of possession is a little bit frustrating, but he does have qualities. As a centre forward, you could use him as a centre forward. So what would we do as a centre forward? Certainly take a lot of that dribbling away, because we've got to get that finishing and attacking awareness up. Question is, how high can we get them? I'm going to scrimp a few points from the lower body. I think that's probably the best you could do as a centre forward. So you at least get the attacking awareness and the finishing into the mid-80s. On the ball, he's obviously not as great, but as a centre forward, it's not as important. Passing, not brilliant, but he's a centre forward, so again, it's not as important. Still got a decent amount of pace. We've taken a few points away from speed, which is a bit of a shame, but he's still mid-80s. And acceleration is at 95 now, which is fantastic. Still got decent kicking power. Balance at 88 is still good. You could use him as a centre forward. I think, again, though, you come down to the skills. First time shot is absolutely an absolute must as a centre forward. So, as a centre forward, first time shot, definitely lacking. You probably want long range curler. If you're going to use him as a wide man, coming onto his right foot from the left flank, long range curler, I think would be very important. You might want to give him one touch pass and 3 passing to compensate for his passing not being great, regardless of what position you play him in. He's essentially a player who's got pace and he can dribble. He's got a decent finish on him. But ultimately he's not that brilliant of a card, so could be useful, especially as a super sub. Maybe if you use a Japan squad for the national team challenges, it could be useful to pick up. But yeah, he's not a bad card. I just don't think he's an amazing one ultimately. Next is Archie Gray, who's joined Tottenham. So he's only 17. He's only coming to the scene quite recently, so no big surprise. He's not got a face scan yet. I imagine he'll get one soon enough. This is the first feature version of him that we've had. So is he any good? We'll jump onto eFootball Hub, have a little look. So maxed out, he's all right. You know, as you can see, he's obviously a 4-star card like Asano. Only goes to 90 rated as a centre midfielder. It's saying he's higher rated as a wide midfielder, but without more pace, I'm not sure how it calculates that exactly. I wouldn't pay too much attention to these numbers, but yeah, as a centre mid, he's kind of all right. It is a 4-star card. I think that's very much reflected in his attributes here. I don't think he's anything special. I think unless you're a Spurs fan or maybe a Leeds fan, if you don't resent him for leaving, you might be pleased to get him in either of those cases. But if you don't support either of those teams. Yeah, I don't think it's a brilliant looking card, to be honest. That's before the game plan boost, to be fair. So yeah, I mean, he's not too bad. He's tidy on the ball. He's got a really nice passing, but as a box-to-box centre mid, he's defensively quite weak. He's not got much physical contact. Yeah, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. He's got some qualities here. But yeah, where he falls short of being a 5-star is obviously the defensive ability, a bit more physical contact, of course, and a bit of attacking, which would be nice as well. So yeah, he's not too bad of a card. In terms of the skills, yeah, I think that's as big a problem as any. He's got no skills really. Marseille turn, fair enough. You like your skill moves, that'd be nice, but he doesn't have any useful skills. He needs one-touch pass. He needs through passing. He needs interception. He probably needs a couple more at least beyond those. So badly lacking in skills. Will be tweaked the way he's built. I mean, you could spare a couple from passing. Need to get that defending up really. I don't know if you can really. I mean, I'll take a couple more from passing, to be honest. We can at least get all his defensives up to the 70 mark. Get 4 on his aerial. Still got 4 points left. Oh, still doesn't dexterity. Yeah, I think as a centre midfielder, I would probably do something like that. Give him more of a kind of well-rounded build. And I would definitely put their skills in. If you get this guy and if you plan to keep him and use him, like I say, one-touch pass, through passing, interception, those are the first 3 I put on him. Yeah, and then beyond those, you probably need a couple more. There's a lot of skills that you'd want to consider putting on him. But as a centre mid, I'd do that. I wouldn't touch him as a defensive mid. You can't make him good enough defensively to be a defensive mid. Not a chance. If you wanted to position train him, you could try making him an attacking midfielder. If you made him an attacking midfielder, there's no need for any of those defensive or aerials anymore. So then you could go something like, what are we going to do? Let's get his finishing up to 70. Get his low pass up to 90. Get his ball control up to 90. Yeah. I think if you get this guy, you plan to keep him, like I say, it's most likely it would be if you're a Leeds or Spurs fan. But if you do get him, if you plan to keep him, he might give you the most value as an attacking midfielder. If you've got the position trainers to get him attacking midfield, and if you give him the skills as well, still very important, especially now, one-touch passing, through passing, maybe his long-range shooting, 1 or 2 others as well. But as an attacking midfielder, the pace is all right, decent kicking power, the balance is decent, stamina's good. Still needs more attacking awareness. That's never going to get that particularly high, unfortunately. But technically, getting that ball control up to 90, the low pass up to 90, finishing's up to the 70 mark at least. That's probably the best value you're going to get out of him, to be honest, if you can make him an attacking midfielder with a position trainer. So I think as an attacking midfielder there, you've got a 5-star player in your hands. Maybe not on elite level 1 by any means, and he desperately needs skills, but that might be the best way to get value out of him. But yeah, he's very much a 4-star card as a centre midfielder. I don't think he's anything special in that position. As an attacking midfielder, if you get him that position, could be a decent one. So yeah, you could potentially get some value out of this guy, but ultimately I'm not sure it's one I'd be getting too excited about if I pick him up. And next up is Ross Barkley. So we just recently had another version of Ross Barkley in that Premier League Player of the Season pack. I actually got that version. It goes to about the same level as this one. The attributes are a little bit different, and obviously you can train this one as well. He's got his face gun there. Very 2-footed, only standard form. But let's have a look on eFootball Hub. We'll see how we can train him up. Because like I say, you can train these cards. So compared to the Player of the Season one from the Premier League pack that I got, could be better. You can certainly customize him more. So maxed out centre midfielder. Similar to Archie Gray, to be honest. We've got some technical ability here for sure, but the attack awareness is low, not great defensively, so it's a similar situation. And one thing that jumps out as well is a box-to-box centre midfielder. That stamina is horrible. So we've got some qualities, but can we get that stamina up? Can we retrain him, make him a little bit better suited to playing centre midfield? What can we do? You can certainly afford to nick a few from passing. What we're gonna do? Might have to nick a few from dribbling as well. Got to round him out as a centre midfielder. We're going to do 2 builds. We'll build him as a attack midfielder as well in a moment. Got to get that stamina up. A bit more as defensives as well. I've just realised we've not got that game plan boost active yet. Nice. So yeah, I'd probably do something like that. So stamina now. Still probably a little bit on the low side, to be honest, as a box-to-box centre mid, but at least we're up to 85 for stamina. Got great kicking power there. The physical contact and balance, I would like them both to be a bit higher, but they could be worse, I guess. We're at least up to the 70 mark on all these defensives, and he's quite aggressive as well. On the ball, we've sacrificed a bit. It's a bit of a shame, but I think it's got to be done if we're going to use this guy as a centre midfielder. We're still up to 90 for low pass, though. He's got really nice passing. If we have a look down the skills, he does have through passing. If you're going to use this guy in either of the positions he's got there, one-touch pass I think is an absolute must. That's the first skill that I'll put on his one-touch pass. As a centre midfielder, I would also look to put interception on him. But he's got through passing, as I say, weighted pass and outside curl, two nice ones to have. And then when it comes to shooting, long range drive, long range shooting, knuckle shot, dipping shot, acrobatic finishing, he's got a bunch of shooting skills. But the finishing attribute isn't too high though, so don't ask too much with the shooting. Be careful with the shooting. You could train the finishing higher, but if you're going to do that, you'd have to sacrifice more points from elsewhere, and I'm just not sure it's worth doing that. And just to show you, before I do the attacking midfield build, I'll show you his auto allocation before I with the game plan boost, because I didn't have that activated initially. So if you auto allocate the points, fantastic passing. Yeah, like I say, similar to Archie Gray, really, he's lacking in one or two areas, the attacking awareness and the defensives, but he's a bit better on the whole, obviously, because it's a 5-star card. But yeah, that's one build that I just showed you for centre midfield, but he does have attacking midfield as well. So that box-to-box playing style will not be active if you play him as an attacking midfielder. And what you can do if you play him as an attacking midfielder, take that defensive away, don't need that anymore. Still don't need quite as much in his passing. What are we going to do here? Get someone who's shooting, nudges, technicals up there on the ball, lovely. All those on 90. I'm just going to go all in on dexterity, I think. Yeah, nice. So we get the attacking awareness up to 80. On the ball, all 90s, low pass 90, lofted 88. Finishing, still not brilliant, but it's at least up into the 70s. Speed and acceleration both 80. Kicking power 91, still great. Stamina's over 80 at least. That's still a concern. So you're going to find he's probably still going to get tired as an attacking midfielder with 81 stamina. Balance up to 78. I'd still like to be a bit higher, but you can't have it all. I think ultimately, if you're going to use this guy as an attacking midfielder with a build like this, I think he could be very, very neat. He's got a nice searching skills there, as we saw. We've got a bunch of shooting skills. I would give him one-touch pass, definitely, but he does have through passing, as I mentioned. Weighted pass and outside curler. I think he could be a pretty tidy attacking midfielder. I've not used the one that I got from the Premier League pack a great deal. I've used him, I think, once in co-op and a couple of times against the AI. He feels decent. Not amazing, but he's decent. He's technically nice. He's got a shot in him. That kicking power, you do notice that. So he's a useful player. I think for me personally, yes, you can build him to be a decent centre midfielder. But I think, again, it's like with Archie Gray, the best value to get out of this guy, he's already got attacking midfield. If you train him for that position with the skills he's got, with these attributes, I think he's pretty tidy. So, yeah, if you use him that way especially, I think it could be a fairly neat card to pick up. And now we have Dewsbury-Hall from Leicester. So, we have actually had a previous version of Dewsbury-Hall a long time ago, and there was a Leicester club selection back in the day when they used to do club selections. So, we have another box-to-box centre midfielder. He does have a face scan. I'm not sure about that hair. But yeah, another box-to-box centre mid, 5-star. We'll have a little look on eFootball Hub, and we'll see how good he gets. So he's very similar to the previous version from that Leicester pack ages ago. Goes to the same overall ratings. The attributes are very similar. I mean, to be honest, again, like with Archie Gray and Ross Barkley, we'll hit that game plan boost, but still the attacking wear is a little bit low, defenses are a little bit low. Same kind of situation really, because he is technically pretty nice on the ball with his passing there. Got good stamina this time. And certainly compared to Ross Barkley, that's very different. But yeah, he's fairly tidy. He's got two positions, centre mid and defensive mid. We'll build him as a centre mid first. I'm going to just tweak the way the points are allocated a little bit. You don't need quite as much on the passing. What else are we going to do? Nudge one away from there. Don't want that tight possession going below 80. I'll just do that. Could do with a bit more attacking awareness. Don't know how high I can get on that really. Stamina's good. Don't think I want to touch that. Give him some aerial. Does need more defensive ability. I'm just going to nick a couple more from passing actually, because I think for a box-to-box, I like on a box-to-box centre mid to at least have 80 on tackling. What have we got left? 2. Stick them on aerial. I think that's a nice kind of all-round build as a centre mid, to be honest. So he's still pretty tidy on the ball, still got pretty nice passing. Got that tackling up to the 80 mark. I think that's important. The physical, we've nudged that up into the 70s. Balance is still decent, and the pace. Stamina still at 90. So yeah, I think that's a solid all-round build as a centre mid. He's certainly not an elite level centre midfielder by any means, but he's a pretty tidy one. And if we scroll down and look at his skills, he's got a pretty nice selection of skills. A cut by and turn, he's got soul control, long range shooting and rising shots, and then with his passing, we've got one touch pass, through passing, weighted pass, pinpoint crossing, low lofted pass. Very nice selection of skills for his passing. So he's going to have some very nice passing on him, very technically sound. He's a solid centre mid. Like I say, he's clearly not an elite level midfielder by any means. He's not on that kind of a level, but he's a fairly useful one. And he does have defensive mid as well, like I mentioned. So I'll just quickly do a little defensive mid build. We'll see if we can get him to a decent level as a defensive midfielder. How many points can we nick off all of these? Don't want to nick too many. I'd probably just do that, to be honest. That's as much as I'd want to take from elsewhere. So we sacrificed a bit on his technicals, but as a defensive bit, I think they're just about okay. Well, all of the attributes defensively at 80 plus now. Pretty much the same down here. Would I use him as a defensive mid? I'm not sure. For me personally, I use a double pivot. I like two midfielders who are defensively quite strong, but kind of all-rounders. I think he could do that job for me, to be honest. But if it is an out-and-out defensive midfielder, could he do that job? If you really need him to, yes, to an extent, but he's probably not quite on the level as the kind of defensive midfielders a lot of us have got, whether you've got the legends like Vieira, Rijkaard, and so on, or you've got like someone like Zakaria. I mean, he's clearly not on that level, so could use him in a defensive midfield role, depending on what kind of a system you use with how many centre midfielders and defensive midfielders you've got, but it's another option. So yeah, either defensive mid or centre mid. Not an elite level card by any means, but he could be a pretty useful one. He could be very usable. Now we have our first feature version of Sergio Gómez. So just left Man City. He's joined Vasco Gijón, also known as Real Sociedad in Spain. He's an attacking fullback, plays at left back. He's got a few positions though. He's got a face scan, unwavering form as well. So let's have a look on eFootball Hub, see how good this guy gets. So with auto allocation, hit their game plan boost. Pretty tidy, to be honest. He's an attacking fullback, so certainly got the pace. Got very good balance for fullback, stamina as well. Defensively, he's okay. He's not brilliant though. And technically down the left, I think he's just about where he needs to be for a fullback. The line off the pass certainly are pretty nice. Yeah, he looks alright, to be honest. Let's have a look at his skills. So he's got the skills he needs for fullback as well. Double touch and scotch move, not the most important. Likewise, dipping shot, but nice to have a few bonus skills there. But one touch pass, a very nice bonus on a fullback. Pinpoint crossing, an important one on an attacking fullback. Interception, very important one. That's the most important one on the fullback, in my opinion. Penalty specialist, another bonus. If you're going to put skills on him as a fullback, I think probably man marking, blocker, one or two defensive skills to really round him out in skill wise. But he's got the most important ones. As an attacking fullback, that's a good selection of skills. And the attributes are pretty decent. Would I tweak the way the points are allocated? Yes, I would. I think you can nick a bit off his pace there and just really beef up his defensives a little bit. So, and especially when you consider here that they go in groups of 4. So the first 4 are 1 point, next 4 are 2 points, the next 4 are 3 points. These 2 points are going to take off lower body. They're going to give us 4 each, so we're going to get 8 points back just by doing that, and we're still past 90 on his speed. So we've got some points to play with. I'm going to stick him straight on defensives initially. What more can we do? I'd like to get his defensive up to the 80 mark. That's the mark for me on a fullback. You don't need that much in his passing. It's a bit of a shame to take a few away from passing. But as long as we hit the 80 mark, that for me is what matters. In fact, we can nick another one off his lower body. Still at 90 for speed. Just one away from getting to 80 on all of these. You know what? He's not strong aerially regardless. Let's just take those points off him. Now I've got one left to stick it back on aerial. There. So you've got a bit of a concern with the physical contact. It wasn't that high in the first place. I've pushed it down a little bit further because if it's not going to be high anyway, I don't think it'll make too much difference. But I think to get his defenses all to 80 plus is probably worth it. That's what I personally would do. It's just my personal opinion. But you see, we're 80 plus in all these technicals, 80 plus in all defensives, still 90 for speed, 90 acceleration as well. Kicking power is decent. Balance and stamina are both good. That's what I'll do as an attacking fullback. I think this is a pretty nice card actually. It's pretty decent. I mean, it's not going to get in my team anytime soon because I've got Roberto Carlos. But if you need a left back, or you like an attacking left back to be getting up and down, putting crosses in, and he can do his defending as well, I think it's pretty nice, to be honest. I think it's a decent looking card. So yeah, he does have a few positions, like I say. So let's just try building for 1 or 2 other positions. We'll start off left midfield, and then we'll do an attack midfield. So as a left winger, we don't need the defending ability anymore. Taylor's defending and aerial points away. It gives us 25 points to play with. Lovely jubbly. So what we're going to do there, get his passing up so we can whip some crosses in. Dribbling up as well. Don't need quite as much pace. Got 2 left. Maybe he's that as a left winger. That's pretty nice, to be honest. So he's still got pretty good pace there. The balance up to the 90 mark. On the ball there, ball control and dribbling both 90. He's going to feel really nice on the ball. He's got a fairly low centre of gravity as well. I didn't realise he was that short, 171. So with really good balance, good pace, those technicals on the ball there, he's going to feel pretty nice on the ball. Low and lofted pass, both 88. He's got a bit of curl on him, a little bit of kicking power as well. And with pinpoint crossing, he's going to have a very nice cross. So as a kind of old school left winger, left footed, he could be pretty nice actually. If that's the kind of winger you like to use and you get this guy, if you've already got some good left backs, might be worth training him as a left winger, trying him there because he looks like he could be pretty neat there. So yeah, that's quite tempting actually. If I got this guy, I'd be tempted to try that kind of build and use him as a left winger. And as an attack midfielder, will we do much different there? I'd like to get his finishing up as an attack midfielder. What we're going to do there? Not as much balance on there. Leave the speed where it is. I'd like to get his passing up a bit. Yeah, I'd probably do that. So as an attack midfielder, pace not quite so important. It's a shame to lose a bit of his attacking awareness, but I wouldn't want to go low on his lower body, keeping that kicking power at 80. But we need to free a few points to get his passing up, and we've done that. So as an attack midfielder, on the ball, still very tidy, like the left wing build. Passing lovely, 90 mark for low and lofted pass. Got the finishing up just at the 70 mark. And for an attack midfielder, decent pace, not as quick as he can be in other positions, but I think as an attack midfielder, that's fine. Decent balance, stamina's okay, kind of borderline. And skill-wise, as an attack midfielder, I think the most important skill, through passing. I would definitely give him through passing, and then maybe his long range shooting, maybe his outside curler, maybe he's on to others, but certainly through passing the most important one. But if you gave him through passing, you built him like this, I think he could be a pretty tidy attack midfielder, to be honest. So yeah, this card, I think a lot of people might glance at this card and think it's just a kind of average left back and not really give it a second thought. But for me personally, I think he's a decent left back, a very decent left back. Certainly is an attacking left back. And I think depending on how you build him, like these 2 builds I've just shown you here, as a left winger or an attacking midfielder, he could be a very useful one in those positions as well. So for me, this is actually one of the more interesting cards in this pack. I think it's a decent one with a few different positions where he could give you some real value. And now, quite surprisingly, this is only the second version of Saúl that we've had, featured version. We've had one Player of the Week version, and in terms of a trainable featured version, apparently this is the first version we've had of him. I could have sworn we've had 1 or 2 Atletico Madrid versions of him in the past, but apparently not, according to eFootball Hub anyways. So yeah, we've got Saúl, he's joined Sevilla. He's got his face scan, obviously. And again, we have a box-to-box centre midfielder. We've got a bunch of those in this pack. So we'll jump on eFootball Hub, and we'll have a look and see how good he gets. So here he is maxed out. We're straight to that game plan boost before I forget. And he's decent. They've had to put quite a few points in his passing. For some reason, Konami don't think this guy's good at passing. I've never noticed him being bad at passing, but it is what it is. So the passing isn't brilliant. They've had to put 12 on there just to get it to 86. On the ball, pretty tidy. Ball control is very nice. Again, we've got a box-to-box centre mid with low attacking awareness. Bit of a shame. Defensively, he's reasonably strong though. It would be nice if the awareness was a bit higher, but certainly these other defensive attributes all in the 80s already. And then on the right, the pace is just fine for a centre midfielder. He's a little bit lacking with the physical and balance. I'd like at least one of those to be at the 80 mark, ideally both. Stamina's okay for a box-to-box centre mid. It's not brilliant, but it's not bad. He should be okay. I don't think he'll be getting too tired. And yeah, when we come down to the skills, so double touch, Marseille turn, a couple of skill moves for the skillers. Long range drive and long range shooting, dipping shot, got a few shooting skills there, although the finishing is only 68, so don't ask too much from the shooting. One touch pass and through passing, very important on the centre mid, and likewise interception. And then he's got fighting spirit and starting tackle, so he's got a pretty good selection of skills for a centre midfielder. He's not 2-footed, he's 1-footed, and I don't see outside curler. I would probably go give him outside curler. If I'm going to put skills on him, outside curler is probably the first one I put on him, but he does have good selection of skills. Would I do much with the way he's been the points been allocated, I'll do a bit. It depends what we get higher. I'd like that balance to be higher. I think dexterity really, because the attack awareness is a bit low and so is the balance. So can we get that dexterity up a bit? We can nick a bit from dribbling. I'm certainly not going to nick any of passing. There's a lot of points on there, but 86, I would like it to be a bit higher if anything. So the passing, I'm leaving it as it is. What we're going to do, we could nick a little bit off dribbling actually. I'd probably, yeah, I'm just going to put those last two on shooting actually. Get him up to the 70 mark as finishing. So we've sacrificed a bit on the ball there. Left the passing as is. We've got the finishing up to 70 and we just got 3 on his dexterity. So nothing major there, but the acceleration's up to 80. It's got a bit more balance on, a bit more attack awareness. I think that just rounds him out a bit as a centre mid box to box. I think that's probably a slightly better build, but not a big difference to be honest. Not a big difference. So yeah, ultimately, again, this is not an elite level card, and this isn't a really top centre midfielder that's going to get into many people's teams, but I think he is certainly usable. I don't think there are any major weaknesses. I like maybe it's the balance and the dexterity, but and maybe it's the passing as well, you could argue. But ultimately, good selection of skills, and in terms of the attributes, he's a pretty solid centre midfielder, really. No matter how you build him, I know he's got right midfield and left midfield in his position chart. You can't make him good in those positions. You can't make him good, you can't give him enough pace and enough technical ability really to have him as a wide midfielder. As a defensive midfielder, though, you could do a defensive midfield build. So if we're going to use him in that position, I would sacrifice a bit of his passing. It's not as important as a defensive midfielder. We're going to do nick more off these. What are we going to do down here? Oof, nice. Got some points left over it. Where are they going? Something like that I think I'll do as a defensive midfielder, yeah. So, defensively now, awareness still only 83, but for a defensive midfielder, yes, you'd like to be a bit higher, but it's not bad. But it's the other 3 defensives now, they're all 90 plus. So defensively on the whole, he's very strong now. On the ball, obviously we've sacrificed a bit, and likewise with the passing, but I think you can get away with those as a defensive midfielder if he's sitting in front of the defence, and his primary focus is to kind of protect the defence and defend. I think these are okay, and then defensively very strong, like I say. Got a bit more in his physical contact. Bit less pace now, but I think he'll still be fine for pace in that area of the pitch. Still just about hits the 80 mark for kicking power and jumping now. And then the stamina again, it's down a bit, but I think as a defensive midfielder, not so important. But keep that playing style in mind. I think if you're going to give him going to use this guy as a defensive midfielder, he would need to be an out-and-out defensive midfielder. In which case, I'll put the defensive instruction on him to kind of deactivate that playing style and make sure he doesn't bomb forward too much. Then the stamina is not so much of an issue. And he can focus more on what he would be best at with this kind of a build, which would be defending. And then you'd probably want to give him man marking, aerial superiority, maybe blocker. But yeah, you could do that. If you pick this guy out, you plan to use him, and you think you're going to get more value out of him as a defensive midfielder, those skills I mentioned and this kind of a build, I think he could be pretty useful. So yeah, again, he's not a top level player in either of those 2 positions, but he could be used for one. Nothing to get too excited about, but for some people, I think you could certainly get some value out of him. So not an amazing card, but in a couple of ways there, he could be pretty useful for quite a few people. Next up is Sugawara. So Sugawara, of course, has a face scan because he's Japanese. He's just joined Southampton. We've got an attacking right back. He's got a few positions. Let's jump over to eFootball Hub and we'll see how good he is. So maxed out here. Game plan boost. As you can see, he kind of looks okay, but not amazing. There's not many attributes in these left and centre columns that are hitting the 80 mark. He does have fantastic pace though. 94 speed, 94 stamina. Pretty obvious that's where we're going to nick some points from to try and tweak the way his points are allocated. See if we can do a slightly better build here. Let's just start the skills actually. So chop turn, and then we got 1 touch pass, through passing. Has he got through passing? Oh, my phone's gone off. Hang on a minute. I want to check that. He does have through passing. Nice. I think eFootball Hub is now working in terms of displaying the correct skills. So we've got 1 touch pass, we've got through passing, we've got pinpoint crossing. So going forward, lovely jubbly. And defensively, acrobatic clearance and starting tackle. Good skills to have, but interception. I always say interception for me, the most important skill for fullback. So he does need interception. If you get this guy, you use him as a fullback. Interception skill, I'd say, is very important. But in terms of the allocation of training points, what would we do here? I think we could afford to nick at least 1 or 2 off his physical contact. He doesn't need all that speed. We'll leave him at the 90 mark for speed. That's freed up 16 points now. Excellent. Right. What can we do technically? And defensively, actually. I always like to get the defenses to the 80 mark. Nice. Can we get his passing up? Yep. I would do that, I think. Yeah, I think he looks pretty nice now. Shame he's not quite 80 for balance, but I think we can live with that. I think this is how I'd build him. I mean, the way I build fullbacks, you probably know by now if you watch my videos, this is pretty much what I tend to do. I like to get to the 80 mark in all his defensives. We're at least at the 70 mark physical contact. Balance would be nice if it was at 80, but it's not far off. Stamina 90 is good, and speed likewise. Acceleration 82. I'd like it to generally be a bit higher, but as long as the speed's up to 90 and acceleration's over 80, I think we're okay for pace. And then we've nudged up some of his technicals here. So on the ball, he's looking fairly tidy for a fullback, and likewise his low and lofted pass. And he does have one-touch pass through, passing and pinpoint crossing as well. So yeah, it's a pretty useful looking attacking fullback for me, to be honest. I think, in all honesty, the one thing he really needs, he needs interception. I think if he gave this guy interception, especially if he gave him maybe his man marking blocker, I think he could be a pretty tidy, very usable right back. In terms of his other positions, I've had a look. You can't really make him a decent centre back. No point really trying to make him a good centre back. But as a right back, as you can see there, I think he could be pretty useful. As a right midfielder, though, let's just see if we can do a right midfield build. So defending not so important. If he's a winger, take all those points away. So let's put a few points in his finishing. Okay, he's up. Well, he's up to 8. See where we are. Interesting. I don't know how much more I'd do. I think we're probably looking at a wing back here. I don't know if you can really make him that great technically in going forward. He's obviously got the passing and the crossing, but I think to get his technicals here on the ball and with his passing and his crossing, to get them higher, you'd have to really sacrifice basically his pace, and I wouldn't really want to sacrifice his pace. Yeah, as an attacking kind of winger, could be okay. I don't think he'd be brilliant in that role. Could be decent, but in fact, I'm just going to nick one of these and get his curl up to 80. There you go, curl 80. That's nice on crosses. Yeah, I think he could be a decent winger. Certainly got the pace, and he's not bad with his end product, but I don't think he's quite on the level to be a great winger in terms of his end product. But as a wing back, if you use wing backs, I think he could be pretty tidy. I think quite similar to Sergio Gómez we were looking at, who's joined Sociedad. Could be one who could be a decent wing back who's kind of got a bit going forward, but can do his defending as well. Could be useful wing back if you use a kind of 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 kind of formation. So yeah, could be useful in that kind of role, but I think certainly the way I built him as a right back could be a pretty tidy attacking right back, but he does need interception. Definitely needs interception. That's the one thing you need in this guy. If you gave him interception, whether you give him this kind of a wing back build, or if you build him the way I had him as a fullback, or just went the auto allocation as a fullback, I think he could be useful to pick up. And before I forget, because I just realized I didn't mention the previous versions, there has been a version of him in one of those legend boxes that went up to, I think, 94. This one only goes up to 92 before all the boosts. So there has been a better version of him previously. There's been a player of the week card as well, which went to about the same level, which was pretty much the same overall, but with the attributes slightly different, the balancing of them. But yeah, as for this one, like I say, could be an interesting kind of right wing back, or maybe even a right winger. But certainly as a right back, a very attacking right back, if you give him the interception skill, I think it could be a fairly useful one to pick out. It could be very usable. And now we have Man United's new young centre-back, Yoro. So we have a build-up centre-back. He does not have a face scan yet, but now that he's joined the partner club, I imagine he'll probably get a face scan very soon, maybe even with the 25 update. So yeah, let's have a look on eFootball. We'll see how good he is. So we've had a recent version of Yoro, actually. I think one of the most recent legend boxes, there's a version of him in there, and that went to, I think, one higher. This one goes to 93. I think that one that we recently had, a legend box, goes to 94. So it's not the best version we've had, but I'm sure there'll be more versions of him, and this certainly isn't far off. So it's a good version of him. In terms of the way his points are allocated, We'll hit that game plan boost. As you can see, he's pretty solid. I don't think I'll do much with the way these points are allocated. He's pretty strong defensively, not the most aggressive. Engagement would be nice if we could hit the 90 mark, but 88's not bad. But the defensive awareness and tackling both at 92 is great. He's got pretty good pace for a centre-back. Jumping and physical are all right. They're not brilliant, though. He's 6'3", though, so he's got a pretty good height on him. If we look at the skills, he's got aerial superiority, so he'll be decent in the air. 6'3" with 84 jumping, aerial superiority. Yeah, he'll be decent in the air, and 86 for heading as well. And heading. And then defensive skills, interception, blocker, sliding tackle. I would say man marking is the first skill you want to put in this guy. I think he really needs man marking. Maybe his acrobatic clearance as well. But certainly man marking, I think, is the first skill I'd like to put on him. But he's got most of the skills that you really need as a centre back. And down the left there, the passing, 70 plus and low end off the pass is nice. I'll be tempted actually to just nick 1 point from low body. So he's still at the 80 mark for speed. And just one on the dribbling there, you get his ball control to 70 as well. Makes a tiny amount of difference, but just nice to hit that 70 mark there. I would be careful now, just taking one from speed, so it sounds hypocritical saying it, but that kicking power is a bit low. I would just be careful. Make sure you don't underhit your passes. You don't want to underhit your passes in that centre-back area and give the ball away in front of your own goal. So keep an eye on that kicking power. But yeah, ultimately this is a solid centre-back. There's one, two attributes I'd like to be a bit high. You know, the jumping and the physical. I'd like to be a little bit higher on a 5-star centre-back. The kicking power is a little bit iffy. I'll keep an eye on that. To be honest, the stamina's not that brilliant, 75. I think that makes it slightly more important that he gets fighting spirit, actually. So man marking and then fighting spirit, acrobatic clearance. I think those three skills probably that would be necessary on him. And then down the middle, the most important ones, yes, maybe he's like a bit more aggression, a bit more engagement, but the awareness and tackling are pretty high. And he's nice enough down the left. So yeah, I don't think he's an elite level centre-back, but I don't think he's a million miles away. I think he's a pretty good centre-back card. There probably will be better versions of him. There's a slightly better one that's been released quite recently, but on the whole, he's very usable. He's a solid centre-back. I don't think there are any glaring weaknesses there. I just think he needs a few skills, and then you could have a pretty decent centre-back on your hands. So yeah, he's a decent card, this one. And we go straight to another build-up centre-back. So another build-up centre-back, this time left-footed. We've got Max Kilman. He has a face scan. He's just gone to West Ham from Wolves. He's a centre-back. He can play left-back. You can't make him a good left-back. You can't make him anywhere near quick enough. But as a centre-back, he can certainly play there. And we'll have a quick look on eFootball Hub to see how good he can be. So, as you can see, this is pre-game plan boost. Already looking decent enough. With the game plan boost, he looks pretty nice. So, down the middle, the most important ones, he looks very strong with those defensive attributes. Down the left, he's got a few hitting the 70 mark, so that's nice for a centre-back. Down the right, one slight concern, pace. Is he quick enough? I think for some people, there are people who don't really mind the lack of pace in centre-back, especially if you play with a deep defensive line, with that build-up playing style as well. So that might not be a concern for some people, but for other people, it might be. So, you know, he's not the quickest. And the other thing as well, he might be very tall. He's about 6'4", 6'5", but he only has 80 for jumping, only 80 for heading. And if we look down the skills, we've got a bit of an issue here. He does not have aerial superiority. He does not have heading either, so he could be suspect in the air. In terms of the skills he does have, cut behind and turn. Not sure how useful that's going to be on a centre-back. Soul control, I guess that's a nice bonus. And then the important ones, interception. Okay, it's probably one of, if not the most important skill on a centre-back. So he does have interception, but beyond that, captaincy, nice bonus, fair enough. Fighting spirit, yeah, likewise, that can come in handy, but we need man marking, blocker, heading, aerial superiority, and then probably sliding tackle, acrobatic clearance. He desperately needs a bunch of skills, really, to really make him usable as a centre-back. It's a bit of a shame because based on the attributes, he is pretty strong. I don't think I'd change too much. I mean, you could sacrifice a couple from defending there. Maybe he's giving him a bit more speed. So if he did that, it's still 90 plus in all his defensives. And yeah, I'll probably just shove more straight on speed, to be honest. Just give him that a little bit more pace. But yeah, either way, it's not made a massive difference. But either way, based on his attributes, he's a good, strong, solid centre-half. Big, tall, strong guy. But it comes down to the skills. If you give him the skills he needs, I think this guy could be a very solid, very usable centre-back. If you don't mind the fact he's not the quickest with the relevant skills, yeah, he's just a good centre-back. But he does need those skills. Heading, aerial superiority, man marking, blocker, those four for definite. And then either sliding tackle or acrobatic clearance to round him off. Yeah, he needs those skills. Without those skills, I think he could be pretty suspect and he could get found out. But with the attributes he's got, if you gave him those skills, I think he could be a good, solid centre-back. He's probably one of the better cards in this pack if you give him those skills. And now we have Ciro Immobile, who's joined Besiktas in Turkey. So we have a goal poacher centre-forward. He, of course, has a face scan. We have had a bunch of Immobiles previously. We've had one previous one that goes to 93, which is what this one goes to. But we've also had a bunch that go to 94, and we had one that goes to 96. So this is not one of the better versions of Immobile. It's actually one of the worst. It's the joint worst in terms of the featured versions. So if you've got a previous version of him, you've probably got a better one already. But we'll have a look on eFootball. We'll see how good this one is. So maxed out here. Hit that game plan boost. The qualities he's got are pretty obvious. The main strengths he's got: attacking awareness, the finishing, the kicking power. He just wants to score goals. That's all this guy wants to do. But the concern for me is he's a goal poacher. Goal poachers are constantly looking to dart in behind the defence, and he lacks pace. I always say that. That's not to say that he's not going to be effective at all. For sure, when he's going to be getting into very good positions, he's going to be reacting quickly in the box. When it comes to taking those chances, he's going to be really effective. So he could be a very effective one to have, and it will depend to a great extent on the way you play the game, how you use your strikers. But for me personally, on a goal poacher centre forward, I want more pace. I aim for probably at least mid-80s. So that's frustrating to me. And the problem is that if you want to try and reallocate the training points on this Immobile to try and get his pace up, where are you going to sacrifice them? Because yes, you could take a couple away from attacking awareness and still hit the 90 mark, but then you'd be losing a couple from acceleration and you'd be going below 80 on balance. Can he sacrifice any points from his technicals? Absolutely not. He's actually a bit on the low side. I would like him to be quite a bit better on the ball. So we can't take points away from there. Passing, can't really take any away from there, and they've not put any there. So we literally can't take any from there. Finishing, you don't want to lose anything of his finishing, really. It's one of his main strengths. And then with the physicals, heading 82, physical contact 81, jumping 76. I wouldn't really want to lose any from there. And they've only put 4 on there anyway. So I don't think there's a lot you can do really to try and make their pace better. I think with this guy, you just got to accept the fact that he's not the quickest and just focus on what he's good at and just feed the ball into him, getting him into good positions to just get shots away, because outside of getting his shots away, he really doesn't have a great deal. He's not going to be comfortable on the ball. He's not got great passing and he's not got great pace. So, but I think it just depends how you plan to use him. If you don't mind the lack of pace, if you just want him to be popping up in the right place at the right time and putting the ball away, he could be very, very effective at that. But if you want your strikers, especially goal poachers, to have more pace running in behind and have more any kind of technical ability and getting involved in the build up, I think you could really come up short. But yeah, looking at the skills, again, it just backs up what he's good at. Heading, accurate finishing, first time shot. He just wants to score goals and he's going to be very effective at that. Good knuckle shot and dipping shot as well. Cut, bind and turn. For those who use that, could be very effective. Penalty specialist, of course. Captaincy, fighting spirit. He's got all the skills. So it's for a goal poacher. It's just that lack of pace and the fact he's not better technically. So, like I say, depends how you like his strikers to be. If you're like me, you like a goal poacher to have pace and to have a bit more technical ability when you get on the ball. I think this guy probably isn't going to quite make the grade for you. But if you don't mind the fact he's not got more pace, and we just want a guy who's going to pop up in the right place at the right time in the box and be very effective at just literally putting the ball in the back of the net, he could be really effective for you. So yeah, depending on what suits you, it could be a very effective one, but it could be quite frustrating as well. You might not make the grade. So for me, it doesn't make the grade, but for some people, it could be a decent one to pick up. And we finish up with our goalkeeper, and we have got Di Gregorio from Juventus. We've got a defensive goalkeeper. He's just joined them from Monza. He's got a face scan. He's got unwavering form. Is he any good? We'll have a look on eFootball Hub. So we've had a couple of versions of Di Gregorio in the past. This is the joint best in terms of his overall. He goes up to 93. The previous best version that also goes to 93, I think that's from an Italian league pack, is actually slightly better. They have the same overall maximum rating, but his reflex is about 2 or 3 higher. So if you've got that version of him, it does look like it's slightly better than this one, but there's not much difference. This is still a good version of Di Gregorio. If we hit the game plan boost, as you can see here, he's only hitting 90 with one of his core goalkeeping attributes, that's reach. But he's pretty good. Jumping, as always, is glitched on eFootball Hub. There you go. His jumping is actually very good. Goes to 88. 89 awareness. 85 reflexes. That's the one concern for me, really. Catching and parrying are decent. They're not amazing, but they're not bad. Reach is great. He's about 6'1", 6'2". So he's a decent height, good reach. Pretty good awareness. Catching and parrying decent enough. But yeah, like I say, those reflexes, could we shuffle some points around? I'll take those points away. As we know, Konami don't consider jumping to be important on a goalkeeper. Put those straight in reflexes, yeah. Straightforward enough. That's what I'll do. It would be nice. I think really for a goalkeeper, for me, awareness and reflexes, I want to be hitting the 90 mark, and his height and reach kind of combined. I want him to have a decent coverage of his goal. He's certainly got good coverage with the reach and his height. The awareness is pretty good. The reflexes are pretty good, but if they're not hitting the 90 mark, I couldn't really consider this guy an elite level goalkeeper. I don't think he's a top level goalkeeper, but he's a pretty strong one. I would like low punt on him. I think a lot of us like low punt on the keeper, but he's got high punt. He's got penalty saver. I think he's just a good, solid keeper, just not an amazing one. I don't think he's going to let anyone down. I don't think there's anything there to really overly concern me. But at the same time, there's nothing here to really make me get excited about him and to really, to think he'd be getting anywhere near my team, because he's not. I've got better goalkeepers. But like I say, he's not bad. He's pretty solid. He's a good, solid keeper. And he might be one worth looking at and just considering, is he worth having for the Italian League Challenge? Because when the Italian League Challenge pops up, if your Italian League keepers that you've got aren't in form, I don't think he's going to let him on down. I think he could be a good, strong option for that. So he might be worth keeping for that primarily. And if you don't have any, if you're quite new to the game, you don't have that many good goalkeepers, certainly it'd be a good option to be worth picking up and keeping hold of. So yeah, isn't he an exciting one? No, he's not a top level keeper by any means, but he's not a bad one either. I don't think he's going to let one down. I don't see any major weaknesses there, and especially for the Italian League Challenge, could be well worth picking up and keeping hold of. So he's a good, solid keeper on the whole. So that is the pack. I think ultimately it's not a particularly exciting one. I don't think it's a terrible one, but I don't think there's a single player in this pack that I would look at and say, yeah, I really want that guy. Asano, I've got a better version, and even if I didn't have a better version, I don't think I'd be too keen to get him. Archie Gray, I think you've got to be a Spurs or Leeds fan to have an interest in that card. It's very much a 4-star card. It's not brilliant. It could be decent as attacking mid though. If you gave him attacking mid, put the skills on him. Barkley, as a centre mid, not sure. Could be okay, but I think as an attacking midfielder, Barkley could be pretty good. Dewsbury-Hall, solid centre mid or defensive mid option, but again, nothing special. Sergio Gómez, I think he's probably the dark horse in this pack. I think a lot of people will just take one look and say, yeah, he's an okay left back, but nothing special. I think he's a decent, very decent left back. Certainly is an attacking left back, but left wing and attacking mid as well. There's a few ways you could use that guy. He could be a decent one. Saúl, similar to Dewsbury-Hall, could be a decent option, defensive mid or centre mid. Nothing amazing, but could be very usable. Sugawara needs interception desperately, but as an attacking fullback, similar to Sergio Gómez, he could be a decent one, could be useful. Yoro, decent centre back. He's not a bad one. He's not an elite level one by any means. Needs 1 or 2 skills, but he's solid. Kilman, desperately lacking skills. If you don't add any skills to him, I think he's just probably not going to quite make the grade, because those skills do make such a difference. But if you do put the skills on this guy, if you get the right 3, 4, or probably even 5 skills on this guy, I think he could be a very good solid left back, centre back. Sorry, definitely not a good left back. He's got that, but you can't make him a good left back. But yeah, as a centre back, give him the skills. And you do need to give him those skills, then he could be a very good centre-back. Immobile, if you don't mind the lack of pace and the fact he's not brilliant on the ball, could be a fantastic goal scorer for you, but that the pace and technical ability on the ball is a big concern for me. And then he's got a good, solid keeper. Not an amazing one, not one to get excited about, but I don't think he's going to let him on down as a solid keeper. So, yeah, on the whole, it's an all-right pack. It's just there's nothing really exciting about it. To be honest, I think they should have taken this pack and that back in the game pack, put them all in the nominating contract pack, to be honest. Let us pick these players up with nominating contracts. None of these players are going to break the game. None of them are going to be good enough to really get in most people's teams at this point. So for coins, I don't think it's very good value, but certainly from a free spin, yeah, you might get someone half decent. There's a few players in there who could be pretty useful. And speaking of the free spin, I'll give you some bonus content. I'll do my free spin in this video. There we go. To be honest, I'm kind of hoping for a 5-star player that I don't want, so I can just get a 10-day contract renewal to go towards my free spins when we get the free spins on eFootball 25. So, who are we going to get? Or maybe Sugawara from my Japan squad. Is that Saúl? Or Saúl? So I've got a 10-day contract renewal. Happy days. Oh well. Cheers for watching. Hopefully you found that useful as always. I might do another video at some point soon. Depends on what they add to the game. If there's any decent packs they add to the game, I'll do a review of them. And I might even do a J League watch on tomorrow morning. There's 2 matches live from the J League tomorrow morning on YouTube, so keep your eyes out for those. I reckon they could both be decent matches, but yeah, if I do a live watching for that, hopefully I'll see some of you for that. Otherwise, I'll do another video soon whenever they add anything decent to the game. So cheers for watching as always. Enjoy your weekend. Football is back. Happy days. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon.